Get your Monday motivation and listen to the Let's Love podcast with your host, Lindell Campbell. Co-host Jess and friends every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where it's all about love, promoting healing and self-love.
Let me ask you a question. Do people in relationships try to get things that they aren't ready for? Like I have a cousin she wants a smart man, but I'm like, you ain't smart. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you gonna do with this man but bore him? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
you want something and
that
it's
you're
not.
Yeah.
Like unevenly yoked. Unequally even.
And that's crazy
That
to
matters,
even want that. Like who you say your cousin?
Yeah, my cousin.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I ain't gonna say your name, Tish.
Yeah.
We're gonna mute that one.
I ain't gonna tell nobody.
That's not smart, nor is it intelligent to desire something from someone else that you don't even possess.
Okay, but then devil advocate here. You always try to date somebody who kind of is strong when you lack.
Yeah,
so then you have, that's where reciprocity come in.
Yeah.
Like, where
and that's where the standards come in. Because if I'm a man with standard, then it don't care how much you want me to balance you. If that's not going to feed me as a man, you being dumb,
right?
Then we don't even got nothing to talk about.
I'm just trying to say, how do you know which philosophy to adopt? It's kind of like having equations and math problems. You got to know which theory to apply to this problem to get the correct answer.
Yeah. But I mean, so for that situation, then, with her wanting a smart man, is she also in with the mindset that she wants to learn?
Yes,
that
I
she
think
wants
she's
to
subconscious that she's sub-intelligent.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's why she wants the smartness. Like people, you kind of yearn for what you lack.
Oh yeah.
So without her saying,
like I love
she's
women
saying
that cook. I'm old school. I love women that cook
and clean.
But we live in an era where it's like,
can you cook?
Can you cook?
Right.
It's like I can buy the groceries and cook, but it's like
it tastes better when somebody else makes it.
Yeah. Because I feel like women. I think that's the balance. Women have something that we don't. There's so much power, within a woman, especially a black woman, the first woman. Let's make that.
Clear.
Okay. The first woman,
so y'all know.
just so you know, right? But there's so much that we really can, gain from women. But again, I think because so many of us men have been groomed in trauma that we fall in love with our trauma faster than we fall in love with women.
This is the Let's Love journey, and it's a healing of all things, healing of trauma, healing of, self-worthlessness, healing of heart and mind, so you can get to your ultimate love that you want for your life, whether that means self-love, romantic love, love for the things that you do. That's what we're getting you, to. And so many things came out of that day. We had, some very good friends there. We had Pastor Dale, we had Liz, and we had our good friend, comedian O.D. Odell, who we'll bring on later. And we also had our dear friend, Ashley, Miss Minnie Ross. And Liz, I just want you to touch on a little bit, because that's another reason, for our delay in shooting our broadcast.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys can hear me. I think that the Let's Love podcast, I'll even take it back a step further, or I'll take it back a little bit, but I think that God, he does things and he does it well. I think that, one of the things that I have really, that have, kind of just impressed upon me was just people being in positive, healthy relationships. Lindell, you'll get to know him a little bit better. I think you guys are amazing. He put two amazing people together. I couldn't have orchestrated it. I didn't know it would be to this magnitude. I'm just a connector like that. He tells me what to do, and I and then I obey it. So fast forwarding to the first recording of the podcast, we were there for duality, for dual purpose. Our dear friend, dear sister, who we'll talk more about, Miss Minnie, Ashley, Miss Minnie Ross. She was taping the Miss Minnie show, and Lindell, was there as a, just came into the crew, just like as Odell would say, he kind of Morgan Freeman us, with his heavenly quiet storm voice that day.
Welcome to the quiet storm.
Yeah, welcome to the quiet storm. All the commercials were done that day, with his voice. But I think the dope thing about it was that you guys none of us had really met. I mean, like in that capacity ever. I knew of him as Izzy, as the singer, but didn't know him as a singer. I didn't know him. And so I never knew him as Lindell. So I'm thinking I'm talking to somebody completely different, which is not even the singer, So like, if I had known he was a singer, if I had known the host was going to be the singer, I probably would have kept it going. But but God knows how to hide things. And that's why I said, he's just amazing. All of this is done and orchestrated by God. And let me just tell you something about these hosts. Lindell is, I want to say, like Superman, Clark Kent and Superman. Like, he looks like he's quiet, but and so Jess, is amazing at her gifts. I mean, she has not even given you her bio. She has produced for Russ Parr, The Monique Show, Tom Joyner. I mean, any show, any syndicated program that is out right now, she was that chick, super producer. No, I call her No Stress Jess, but Moni Love. Moni Love gave her that nickname because we just, she just comes in and just makes things happen. So I think you guys did not do a great job about introducing yourselves and pumping yourselves up. So yes, I'm gonna do that for you.
You're gonna be the hype man.
I'm gonna be the hype man. Anybody who wanna a manager that's not in the videos.
Come to Let's Love where you ain't gotta worry about
Come to MCS, Yes. But no, we had a great time. I mean, you guys are a great dynamic pair of host and co-host. I think we're in good hands. You have a balance. I know, you'll get into more of your personal stories, but I mean, this is a powerhouse, and I know that it has to be something powerful because it's taken us, almost 6 months to get here. So, I mean, when I tell you the enemy tried to stop this movement, I mean, we talked about the beginning of the year, we came together talking about Kobe Bryant's death. Then we talked about, so many other things. We recorded in February. Then we went into quarantine, and you guys still persevered and have gone on your own personal journeys. I'm, just proud of you guys for being here and fighting through it, pressing through it. Like I said, you guys are, I just can't wait. I mean, we just can't, one show is just not long enough. Yeah.
Right, to go into the depth.
Therapy, right now. And I would say that some of the topics that you guys talked about in the first show, we did not have a clue that it would prophetically help us through what we encounter losing our dear sister, Ashley, Miss Minnie Ross. And even in that, she had just opened up. She's like, this is my crew. This is my podcast. Jessica, you were her producer. Lindell and our OD, who we'll bring on in just a few, were going to be the crew, going to be the part of the podcast. I mean, and she was executive producing alongside with me and believed in your talents as well. So all I can tell you is that the journey has been a roller coaster. Yeah. It's been one of laughs. It's been one of crying. It's been one of real, like, I want to pimp slap you through this phone. Often. Me
and Lindell.
It's like, they say iron sharpens iron. That's these two right here. Okay? Yeah. For real.
So over the last few weeks, we've been talking about identifying toxic men. Do you think that women mentally attract toxic men because of what's going on in their mind, body, and soul?
Would you want to be first or second in life?
First.
First, right?
Yeah.
I want to be first. So guess what's first? in this so-called creation we're in. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mind over matter.
Mm-hmm.
Mind was second or first? Mind, number one, over what? Matter. Your matter is nothing more than a byproduct of your mind, which is first. So watch this. If your body, which is nothing more than magnetism or a magnet, I'm just so honest. I'm just super real when it comes to this. You got to really feel me on this.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have to throw science in there, even though, some people argue gravity, I argue magnetism. And again, according to science, we have some level of magnetism in us.
Yeah.
Not saying we're magnets, but just say hypothetical. Right. Hypothetical. Yeah. We are magnets and we vibrate according to how strong our magnets are. Mm-hmm. So any toxic man that you meet, according to science, opposites repel. They don't attract. Whoever said that was very clever. Opposites repel according to science. That's like saying plus and negative attract. It doesn't. That's like saying fire and water attract. No. Opposites repel. Likes attract. Any person that says they keep bringing toxic, terrible people in their life, all they're saying is those are the people that best attract to my magnets. Or those are the people that I say yes to. People that are just like me, because again, according to science, opposites repel and likes attract. So every toxic person, this is how you get rid of toxic people. You fix your heart and you fix your mind, and that's how you get rid of them. No, they need to do it. No. If you want to fix all these toxic people you meet, fix your heart and fix your mind, which fix your magnet, and you attract higher. So literally, you earn. I work with my clients with this. You earn your soulmate. You know why you earn your soulmate? You don't look for your soulmate. You attract your soulmate. Stop looking and attract them. It's easier work.
So a question I do have, though, aside from the quiz, Jess, what are some things that have hindered you in the past?
Well, I guess one thing has maybe been just expecting a apology that's never going to come, just thinking about things that have happened in the past, wanting that, closure per se, that everybody wants. That always, closure doesn't do nothing but kick back on the door. That's truly all it does. Like, closure is not the goal. So I think that's been my biggest thing, just trying to revisit things to try to get that end result. And I remember seeing something online, really, really dope, by a man of the name Trent Shelton. He posted this video about
super dope.
Yeah, awesome, super dope guy. Posted this video about closure and not expecting that apology that I think everybody should check out right now.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna be real with you. So many people never move on with their life because they're stuck trying to find closure. They're stuck trying to find understanding. They're stuck waiting on apologies, waiting on reasons. Let me tell you something. When you understand the facts, right? I'm not talking about feelings, because feelings will have you in a place forever, right? To have you stuck forever. But when you understand the facts that this situation isn't good for your life, that this situation shouldn't be a part of your future, that's the only closure that you need. I want to be super real with you. You don't need closure, right, to close a chapter. Sometimes the only closure that you need is understanding that your life deserves better. So the question I want to ask you is this: what are you waiting on to move on with your life? What are you waiting on to close that chapter? Because what you could be waiting on might not never show up. That person might not never apologize. You might not understand why they did what they did. You might not understand why that situation never worked out. And I can promise you this, you'll never understand it by staying in the same place. But as you move on with your future, as you grow your life, you'll start to realize, oh, That relationship didn't work out, so this relationship could work out. Oh, I had to lose that in order to gain this. Oh, that was really protection. What I thought, was me missing out was me actually gaining. I had to lose that because it wasn't meant for my life, but you'll never understand that if you stay stuck where you're at. You have to find the strength, and I know it's easier said than done, but it must be done. You got to find the strength to move on with your life, and moving on is a lonely journey. It's a hard journey. But when you focus on what you're moving on to instead of what you're moving on from, moving on becomes a lot easier. All right? It becomes a lot easier. So focus on becoming a better you. Focus on your healing. Stop making it about them. People always say, I'm trying to get over them, or I'm trying to get over it. As long as you're focused on getting over them or it, you will never get over them or it. Because you're making your healing about them when your healing should be all about you. You're making moving on about them when it should be about you. So if you're looking for closure, all right, let you deserving better be your closure. Don't wait for apologies. Don't wait for understanding. Don't wait for reasons to close the chapter. That situation already gave you a reason. Close the chapter, and that's the only closure that you need. Like I say at the end of every single video, it all starts with you. Tag somebody to this video that needs to move on with their life. Straight up.
You, Mr. Lindell, yes, they asked for you to ask this question. Yes, so this comes from Tasha, and Tasha wants to know, what feelings have you had that surprised you the most during this time of quarantine?
What's her name? Tasha?
Yeah.
Tasha, you gonna do me like that, girl? Wow. That's a really good question. So a lot of emotions I've had, a lot of feelings I've had, really they've come out of nowhere. But I think if I'm being honest, when you are in, I guess, a situation where you have to quarantine, you have to ultimately face yourself as a man. I haven't done that fully in this way, probably ever. So I didn't realize how much of myself I didn't love the way that I assumed. It's easy to say, of course I love myself. Of course you love yourself. But I didn't realize that I didn't love myself enough, and I didn't love myself in the ways that I should have probably a long time ago. And, to deal with that and to face that has been, it's been a challenge because, I'm in my late 30s. So I've spent a lot of time trying to love women and trying to, give women what I thought they needed. But a lot of it ended up being, still toxic. So, and really what I gave was an extension of my trauma to them, because ultimately I didn't give them anything that was, healthy because I wasn't my healthy self. So the healthier version of myself until really kind of this year, although 2020 has been crazy as hell, it's still been eye-opening, and it's still been a time of transparency. So being able to face those feelings of emotions that I basically ignored, for however long. This has been that time. And it's one of those things where once you see it, or once the veil is lifted, you can't really go back. You can go back, but you're not the same once you see what it is that's been missing for so long. And for me, I buried the issues and the past hurt, and the pain. I buried it and I masked it, and still tried to provide something, in relationships that were all the same. They were all from the physical aspect. They were all from the let me sex you up and down, because there's nothing else that I see within myself as a man that I can give you that is of value. So being in the quarantine phase of life at this point, staring at the walls, the same walls, like everybody else, it let me know that I was really, I've been in prison for a long time. And this is the first time that I've been able to see myself as free and then walk in that freedom.
Awesome. Now, did some anxiety come along with these realizations?
I'm not really an anxious person. I'm really a chill, relaxed type person. But I will say, not necessarily anxieties. I would say the mental things that I had to face, that I had to deal with, was not comparing myself, to my father. That's something I think will probably be another episode, be another show. Yeah. But if you don't have the examples, of what a man can be, should be, could be, there's a lot of things that you're gonna break even more along the way. So I had to dissect myself and look at the fact that while I'm crazy, funny, I love a lot of things, music and food and all of that. All of those things are fine. All of those things are good. But if I continue in the same pattern, if I continue in the same cycle, I'm going to drive myself into a place where no one can reach me. And if you believe in love the way that I do, that's a very vital thing, to believe in such a great love, to believe in a love that it sustains and, can conquer all. But if you don't know who you're looking at on a daily basis, and I touched on this before, you ultimately become a corpse.
Yeah.
You become a corpse to yourself. So every day is like a funeral. But nobody will know it because you'll keep smiling, you keep laughing, you keep joking, you keep dancing, you'll keep up with whatever it takes to ignore, confronting what needs to be confronted. And that's just a simple fact that it's time to start loving yourself.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It is not easy. It's
not at all.
We can say it all day long. Yeah, I love myself again. But if you don't sit there and you don't nurture that love you have for yourself, if you don't, try to feed yourself certain things that can be a benefit to your mental well-being, your heart, your spiritual well-being, you're definitely going to go down a road that you can't even get off of. So love is in 2020.
Oh, that's a great question. How do you know what love is? So love is love regardless of the year. Let me just say that. I know things are complicated as years have progressed in 2020, but love at the core of, or at the root of what love is just love. Ultimately, I think the challenge is that people have difficulty finding love that is authentic. And so I tell people all the time that love should give you peace. It should be a place of peace. You shouldn't have to question it. It shouldn't bring confusion. It shouldn't bring chaos. Love should be a refuge. It should be peace. And even in difficult moments, love still should be patient, still should be kind, still should be long suffering. Those are the characteristics of love. That has not changed. It will not change regardless of the year. It just really determines on who you're dealing with. And I think it can be difficult for us to really look at ourselves because we often attract a reflection of who we are. And if we don't understand our own worth, we will definitely discount our value, and we allow other people to assess our value. And people are always going to assess you sometimes, depending on how they view people, lower than what you're really worth. So you have to come in knowing your value. You don't go into a jewelry store and tell them how much a diamond is worth. That value is already assessed. At that point, the person decides whether they're going to pay what is assessed, or if they're going to try to negotiate, or they're going to walk away. And we have to be okay with standing our ground on our value. And if someone chooses to walk away because they're not willing to pay the full price, let them go. So love is still love. And I just think love is still love.
No matter what the year is.
No matter what.
Wow.
Hasn't changed. We've changed. Love has not.
That order could probably change for sure. but
red flags need to be up top. But I'm a believer that no one is, everybody is good for somebody. No one is just totally toxic just for you. Like certain chemicals are fine until you mix them with another one. Now you created it. You know what I'm saying? So in that way, I think we should look at it like, I don't think someone should look down on themselves as like, I'm toxic. You just may have been toxic to that person. If you're a woman who requires a lot of attention, don't date an entertainer. You are toxic to him. Y'all are toxic to each other. You lacking and you nagging. Like it's
so a question that I got, for me, like vibes, man, energy, all of that stuff is something that I really, really, can gel with it. And especially, as we get older, you know what I'm saying? Like we change from what we when we were 20, what we like when we were 30. And I'm in my upper 30s. That chemistry is a draw, but I definitely, I started relationships off, from that physical side, from that lust side, but I still tried to make that a part of my chemistry. So what do you think were toxic traits, that you may have like implemented into like relationships, either from in the beginning, the middle, or hell, towards the end?
I mean, as we grow, we start realizing what's more and more important. And then this is the thing we have to always realize: you are never smarter than your life's experience.
Well, welcome back again, lovers. Thank you for checking out again the Let's Love podcast tonight. And one of the things that I want you all to do is make sure you share it with a friend, family member, coworker, your grandmama. Because again, we're about all things love. And I want to shout out, Miss Kamish Nunley for stopping in. And I want to hear from her, especially in regards to the way that I've kind of taken the response from non-Black people in regards to the protests, in regards to the riots, in regards to just the uprising of us being sick and tired of being sick and tired. I feel like it has some sort of guilt-laced, spirit to it. Can you touch on that, Ms. Nunley?
Absolutely, and thank you guys for welcoming me back in. I think it's really important that we don't like overgeneralize as to some of the motives for why we are coming across cultures and rejoining. There is this underlying sense of what's called cognitive dissonance that can exist in populations in and around the Black community. And in cognitive dissonance, it basically is like what is referred to as a level of guilt and shame. At least that's what it produces. And so in order not to seem like complicit by staying silent, many of our, Caucasian counterparts are coming out in order to resolve or rectify that level of cognitive dissonance that has existed since the days of slavery. Cognitive dissonance is basically like, when you had the master of the home and he had his children, but he would preach and teach about Christianity and the good works of being a good Christian and things like that. But then, his children would see him go out and treat humans as less than human. And so it caused them this level of disconnect where they too were traumatized by the things that they were seeing because of what they expected from their father, who was teaching them one thing, but then doing another. And so as you get older, what that manifests to is this holding two dialectical viewpoints at the same time and not knowing which one to reach out for. And when that happens, there's this underlying guilt. So the idea of this long-held cognitive dissonance, I think, has bubbling up beneath the surface for a long time in our Caucasian counterparts. And I think part of the reason that they are coming out and they're helping us is because they don't want to feel that level of guilt and shame anymore. They want to disconnect with that part of their ancestry and say, hey, I'm here for you. I want to do the right thing. So I think that is probably a taste of kind of what you're getting when you refer to that guilt-laced vibe. So it's really important that we highlight that because people don't always think, especially in the Black community, that Caucasians have pure motives And for the most part, they're human too, and they can relate.
Yeah.
But we all
they were
have.
robbed then. So so basically they were robbed of that opportunity to be, human, to be empathetic, to be compassionate. So that trauma that was connected to, you hearing your dad say, oh, love the Lord with all your heart. And then he's going out there like just going ham on slaves, which was like, wait a minute. But they knew to also not step out of line to, what I'm saying, like set him off in a direction to where he would come at them. So, so then now they're kind of detaching.
It's kind of almost like nature versus nurture to me. That's what it seems like, like what you naturally would feel inside of you, that right and wrong meter that goes off inside of you versus, nurture. Oh, this is what I see and what I'm told to do. So now let me behave and do as such versus this don't feel right, but by nature, I'm just going to, do it. So
definitely got to spread some love. Got to spread some. Gosh.
Yeah, but no, and I'm so glad that you came back, Commish, because we were just, sitting here on our breaks, just thinking, and we were like, we really want to ask some more questions.
Yeah, like dive deeper.
So we thank you so much for coming back and really, hitting that point for us, because I think it now is a better insight as to what we're seeing, why we're seeing it, and how to react to seeing it. Because, like you said, some people can feel like it's, disingenuous, but in actuality, it's probably truly how they feel, but just don't know that that's how they should feel. So thank you so much for touching on that for us.
We got to give them credit for at least making an effort, because they could have stayed home.
You've been tuned into the Let's Love podcast with your host, relationship coach, Lindell Campbell. Follow him on Instagram at Let's Love by Lindell. And co-host producer Jess. Follow her on Instagram at Jessa the Truth. Follow the Let's Love podcast on Facebook and YouTube at Let's Love Podcast. The Let's Love podcast is brought to you by Miss Minnie Media, Media Concept Solutions, The Truth Lifestyle Management Group, Let's Love LLC, and Fly